Hi. I wanted to do a longer video on some of my favorite tracks that I've made. I do want to preface that, I'm not a professional. My project files are gonna look fucking abysmal. And also, stuff is not gonna sound like professional quality because I just do this shit for fun. And I like making sounds that tickle my brain, and my brain specifically. And if other people happen to enjoy that, that's cool. But ultimately, this is all for me. And I think, like anyone else, I like yapping about my own creations. So I just want to do that and get it out to the void. So we're starting off with Carefree. Technically, Carefree 2, because Carefree came out first, and I was like, I want to extend this. But just to start off with, plugin wise, it's pretty much like all. No, it literally is all just default FL Studio plugins. And there's no special filters on any of the audio tracks. Nothing that FL Studio doesn't have by default. I love Poison. Poison is just my go-to. Convert old presets? Okay. Even though this Poison is actually, substantially broken compared to, an earlier version I had. Anyway, to start off with, we have these chords, which I will play for you. I'm a very big fan of what I did here. I really like these chords. And actually, funnily enough, I was inspired by Fowey's Quasar. Probably saying that name wrong, but whatever. That's why the file name is inspired by. However, it ended up not sounding anything like Quasar. But that's okay. That's kind of the point, isn't it? To accompany that, I got some nice arpeggio. Also a Poison. Although I do have to say the arpeggios kind of get lost in the overall soundscape. And then to accompany the arpeggios, we have pads from Flex. And then throughout the entire track, it's just this very repetitive, very silly. I was going for a toy drum synthesizer type vibe. But it's literally just a bit crushed 808. There's nothing toy-like about it. It's very silly. I'm not really going for any sort of specific genre when I make music. The only thing that my music could really fit under is experimental electronic, and that's just kind of where I'm at, and that's fine. I'm totally fine with that. I really don't want to try and go for any sort of genre. I just want to make what makes me happy, and that's what I'm doing here. And we have a very basic bass deep saw preset here with sim synth. And then to accompany the chords, just to remind you, I do have another Poison that plays with it. It sounds like this. And then with them both playing at the same time, it sounds like this. I love slow build-ups. So here I have the cutoff on the envelope, e.g. I don't know what all of that means. Anyway, I have the cutoff, and it slowly goes up for the main chords, and then the volume slowly goes up for these accompanying chords that add the little accent to the chords. Silly, kind of confused melody. Originally, it would then just loop, and then that it would go through this melody again, and then it would just keep looping this. By the way, this is a GMS plugin. It's a bass plugin that I am not using as a bass. I in my older music, I do that a lot. I use a lot of presets and synthesizer stuff. Hey, I'm really not supposed to, but it ends up making interesting sounds. But then over here is where Carefree 2 finally comes in. I extended the chords. I'm not going to cover the extension too much if you want to hear like how the extension sounds, because it's pretty much just the same instruments but playing different like melodies. Anyway, if you want to hear that, you can go check out Carefree 2 on Toys. But anyway, very briefly, just to give you an idea of what that extension sounds like, we'll go ahead and play this. And those chords there at the end, organization is wild on this this track, but these chords are for this transition here, this little pause bridge, I don't know what you call it, for the melody. Little build up. And that little build up is very, very simple. I didn't want to deal with audio or volume envelopes, so I just did velocity. It works. Ooh, and I even got a bit of cowbell in there. I can't really hear that in the track, but there's lots of little things that are lost in the soundscape here because I didn't put them loud enough, but that's okay. We live and learn. Okay, we're jumping way ahead time-wise now. We're gonna do Bouncy Birdie as featured on Toys 2. I was having a blast when I made this. I was living very, very far away from home, and I was vibing. So I put some of that energy into a track. And like before, all of this stuff is basically entirely default FL Studio plugins. Only thing that's not, if we don't crash the... Okay. The only thing that's not is this, my Sampletron. I love my Sampletron plugin, even though it's kind of buggy sometimes. But anyway, we start off with the chords. It's pretty much like same vibes as Carefree, it just sounds different. Same sort of construction. It's got chords that repeat over and over and over again. And then for once, the pads are not entirely lost in the soundscape. You can actually hear them. They are quite integral to the space. This is a trick that I really love to do. Sometimes I use current, put some reverb on that, and I will turn it on, and then I'll flick the master on and off so that you got a cool little reverb effect going on. And then I turn it off right after the drop. Got some silly little samples in my voice there, and I have my friend Imo's voice in here too from a time we did a live stream, or well, time when they joined me on a live stream that I was doing. And then this melody is just a Poison preset that I made a few years back. The drums are just drum X. It's actually a pretty nice drum track, I would say. I'm usually not too fond of the drums that I make and add to my music, but I actually really like that. I have my bass. It's very silly. I stole this bass preset from a previous track that I made, I believe. And a thing I really, really, really love that I did, right after these two samples of Ima, I did a little switch up with the chords. This tickles my brain to this day, and I love it. Alright, but yeah, just to isolate the chords for you so you can hear. Yeah, and then it kind of just goes back and forth for the rest of the track, and then I do a silly little tempo drop here for the fade out. And also, let me get back to the pads. I'll actually let you hear they actually are a like substantial part of the soundscape. Although I don't really know how well YouTube's audio compression is going to let you be able to hear that. Okay, and now here's what I called Chippy, but this is actually a Venture from Avian. It's not really particularly impressive, like chord-wise, especially here in the beginning. But it is fun to pick apart. Again, just Poison, 3x os, drum X, and another 3x os for the bass. Although the bass actually does have autochroma on it to give that sort of wah 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 effect. And then we do have another a second bass line that I end up throwing in further into the track somewhere, yeah, right here. And I did kind of try to sneak in the melody of Silly, which is another track of mine that I really, really, really like. I tried to sort of sneak it in as a bit of an Easter egg, especially here. It's really, it doesn't come across super great. It's but anyway, it was an attempt was made at least. And I did that trick again that I did in Carefree where I have one synth there, and then I have another, and they play over each other. And I did this with Poison, and then I extended my horizons just a little bit. I got Kepler EXO. I modified the square lead a little bit, barely, just a little bit. And a lot of it is just layering over and over. And then throwing in, mixing some stuff up very subtly. Like here, this is what these chords sound like at first. and then they get mixed up. And then here they just continue that way all the way until the end, methinks. And it's the same for the ARP. Mix it up here. And that becomes integral after this little aw man break here. Aw man! And then here I wanted to mix it up a bit and have the melody be less like broken up and extended. So I introduced this sort of new like lead thing. It's kind of all over the place, this track, like a lot of my music. And then here I have these pads that are not part of any other part of the track, just to fill in the gap in the soundscape. Fun panning. Oh yeah, and it's super subtle, but after the very first introduction of these leads, and then once they start repeating, I threw in some little dings. It's very hard to hear, but the ba 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 ba. Listen closely. And then I threw in some bus blinkers. Also, just for fun, as like a sort of unreleased type thing, like unofficial thing. This was actually originally in E major, but then I shifted it up to F sharp major because I was self-conscious about making another song in E major. I just love that I just love that key. I can't help myself. I end up gravitating towards it, like no matter what I do. I'll give you a little listen. It's gonna be loud. I'll give you a little listen to this this like second half here. God, I almost completely forgot. We have Silly here. This is Silly's project file. I actually did not have access to this project file for quite a long time because I totally forgot to back it up before I left home. and I left my old computer behind. But now I came back home, so I booted up my old computer the very first day I got here, and I extracted this project file from it, and I put it on my new one. That's where we are. Now, unfortunately, it's not going to sound exactly like the original project file because Frozen Plane, who provided Mirage for me, decided to upgrade to Flow, which is cool and all. It's fine, you know, software has to advance and all that, but they provide a download to Mirage, so that was handy and stuff. But for the Music Box suite, free, which is what I'm using here, I'm using the Soft Keys preset. They do not provide any sort of download link to a Mirage compatible version. It's all just Flow now, as far as I am aware. Like, I could not find any sort of download link to a Mirage version of this. So unfortunately, I had to replace the Mirage plugin and use Flow, and I had to like earball it to put the preset back to the way it was. I used the built-in effects, unfortunately, instead of like using my own on the mixer, which is what I should have done. But anyway, it is what it is. It's fine. I've done my best. This is on the default state of the Soft Keys plugin. This is set to 0, and this is -12. Or maybe it's the other way around. I don't remember, but either way, they're both -12. That's what I did, and I believe it's a 7 kilohertz sample rate on the bit crush. It's left at 32 bits. It actually might be 16, but honestly, I can't really hear a difference, and you just kind of leave these two alone here, I think. I might have turned down dry a little bit. I don't remember. But back to the actual track and not me complaining about software. This track was made entirely with the goal of just leaning into this comment that I would get a lot over the years from showing people my music. People say it sounds like Minecraft music. And with this track, I just kind of leaned into that because that is a really lovely compliment. The Minecraft soundtrack is fucking beautiful. I really love the beta soundtrack a lot. So yeah, when I finally got that comment enough times, I was like, all right, I'm just gonna lean into it. Kind of went for like Strad vibes, sort of, but not really. I have a cloud drum here, and this is the melody. You're gonna notice compared to the final render that it sounds lower pitch because I do like a little teeny tiny 2% speed increase just to give it a little like detune. And then to accompany that, it's just a little 3x os. And then these poison chords, which are really nice. Cool effect there as they resonate out. One thing that I really wish I had done with this track is keep the bass, because these chords rise, and then you have this low tone that kind of disappears. But that's okay. It is what it is now. Not going to bother changing it. And then here is where Mirage would come in. Just these little chords here. Oh, here's the drums. Here's drum, like the very first drums you hear. Compared with drums 2. It's a little different, but yeah, and then all together it sounds like this. A little fun fact about this bit here. This is Mirage, and it's just playing along with the melody. It's playing along with the melody there, but then this part where it's like that third section of the melody, this is a mistake. This is an octave too low compared to everything else. But I really like how it sounds all together, so I just kind of left it. See, because that one goes back up an octave. It technically should be this. I think it sounds better like that. Oh yeah, and one last tiny little thing. We just got some labs. Fuck you, I'm not logging in. Got labs. Just the pizzicato. And then a neat little transition here where all of the bit crushing on the other tracks just disappear. Except for Flow or Mirage, what was originally Mirage. Anyway, it doesn't disappear for those two. But yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much all I want to yap about. I hope that it was comprehensible and you enjoyed hearing the individual little bits. So I'll catch you later.